Hello, hosts and travelers. Welcome to the podcast Hosting Your Home. Each week, around the world, millions of guests stay in other people's homes using the Airbnb platform. Debbie Herder looks for stories that come from these connections. Listen in as we hear stories that teach us the human side of hosting your home.
Welcome back to Hosting Your Home. This is Debbie. Hey, we took a break. Did you miss us? We had our conference April 22nd, and just before the conference, we were hammered with all kinds of work that we needed to do, last-minute preparations. You could probably get an idea for what that might mean if you've ever put on a big party or if you've ever have an event like we did. It was pretty amazing, and I'll dedicate another podcast to that later. But right now, I want to finish up our vendor series. And this next interview is with charming Nolan Mondrow of LockState. And I just had a great time chatting with Nolan about his experience in the industry and his experiences with Airbnb in particular. I think you'll really enjoy this interview, and I'm positive that you will be impressed with the product that they offer. I'll be back after the interview. Thank you, Nolan Mondrow, for being with us here on Hosting Your Home. We appreciate your ability to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Sure. And also thank you for sponsoring our event next week. We're very excited about it, and I'm really happy to have you part of that as well.
Yeah, as are we. We love Airbnb events. It's just it's a great energy.
Awesome. So if you can tell us just a little bit about you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to go too far back on you because this is only a 20-minute podcast, right? So, but I actually grew up in Denver and went to school on the East Coast in Boston. Spent some time overseas in Japan and actually started a business there, and then came back to the States. Worked for a while here and went back to get a degree in business from the University of Michigan, and then again came back to Denver. I grew up in Denver and really just love the lifestyle here. Mm-hmm. So even before I had a job after grad school, I bought a house here and really planted the stake.
You are an Airbnb owner.
I am. It's actually funny because I was just thinking this is very serendipitous the way both my business life and personal life converge into this community. We have a condo in the mountains in Denver in Keystone, Colorado. It's a great little town, and it is filled in the wintertime. Originally, we bought it thinking, we're going to use this place for ourselves. Maybe we'll go up there, and then we started renting it out, and now it's almost every day in the wintertime is full. And I feel guilty about trying to take a weekend for ourselves. Right, yeah. So it's like
you have to block it off in order to go.
But it's
do you
fun.
Manage it yourself?
Yeah, we do. My wife and I do it.
And how do you feel about your guests? How is this? How is this? How do you do it?
It's just great conversation because they're there because they love the mountains and are doing a ski trip, and we're living here in Denver because we're close to the mountains and can get up there and enjoy them. And so for us, it's almost like every conversation is this natural, you got to go try that trail. And if you're there in the summer and you're hiking, we did this last, I'm sure a lot of hosts have this feeling where we are literally sharing one of our joys with this community of folks that comes in and rents the place to do the exact same thing we're there for.
Yeah.
So that's how we interact with them. And, every host knows that you get a lot of questions about what are good restaurants and what should we do. And of course, because we live this often, we might say, here's a perfect day. Especially if you got two kids, because that's what we have, there's this great chess set that they love to play with, the pieces the size they are out on the square. There's take the gondola up. It's free on the weekends at certain times. So it's like the schedule that you can help them know how to enjoy the vacation. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's exactly what it's about.
Absolutely.
So,
guests love that.
Right.
And obviously hosts love it too.
Yeah, we love it because we you want to share when when you've found something new too, which we always tend to find around the mountain towns. And we didn't intend for it to be a business at all. And, we fell into that side of it just very naturally. Just like I didn't set out and say, boy, I want to make a company that's going to service the vacation rental industry. We just sort of took this path as customers were asking us for things they needed. And we're like, oh, okay, we can do that. Oh, okay, we can do that.
So were you in the lock business anyway? Were you were doing that?
Yes.
For some reason. How did you get into lock?
That is so I had a background in international trade. And so when I left my last corporate job, because I just wanted to do something entrepreneurial, I was doing brokerage of products around the world because I had experience in that, and literally moving containers of bicycles from one place to another. There was a deal I was working on for a customer in Japan that wanted a container load of safes, and I found the supplier in China. So I spent a lot of months on the deal. I got everything ready to the month of shipping. I submitted the purchase order, so I was committed to it, but I hadn't received payment yet. And the Japanese customer went dark on me. And so here I am. I'm like, gosh, I just put all this work into this thing, and these guys are just not responsive. So I said, you know what, to heck with it. I brought the safes to California. And I said, boom, I'm in the safe business. I had a friend who had a warehouse there that let me stick them there. And so we just started selling safes, and we did that through e-commerce. So we started an e-commerce business to sell them, and safes led to locks and then keyless locks. And then we stumbled upon the real exciting area, which was this Airbnb, or at the time more VRBO communities. And we're like, God, let's do this, because these guys have a problem that we solve. So we slowly migrated into that area. Again, it's all very serendipitous.
Fascinating.
So, but Denver is where I actually founded the company that we are currently running right now, LockState, and our cloud products, Remote Lock. And this iteration really happened in about 2012 when we were selling keyless door locks into the vacation rental community, and they started clamoring for a connected solution to solve their problems really loud and clear. And so we started really pointing our efforts in that, and that became the sole focus of the business, is to serve that vacation rental community, which originally encapsulated itself as maybe HomeAway had a lot of that business back then, but
yes.
As we all know, Airbnb has just exploded on the scene over the last few years, and we're really trying to just keep up with all of this energy and demand that's going on in this space. So that's how we got here, and
awesome.
And what we're doing now.
Great. So I just want to say I love Denver too. We have a son who lives there, and I really enjoy visiting him. And so you've been actually around a lot, from Denver to the East Coast to Japan, back to Michigan, and goodness,
yes.
that's a lot of living in different places.
Yes, it really is, and I got to tell you, I wish that Airbnb was around when I was living in Asia. I mean, I just would have taken so much advantage of it.
I bet. So do you use Airbnb now as you travel?
Almost exclusively, in that we have two young kids. We got two boys, one is 10 and one who's 5. And anybody with young kids knows you need some space.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
great.
We can get them in another bedroom, and they can even have trouble going to sleep while we can rest and make sure that at least when we wake up, we're in good. So almost, awesome. In fact, we just did one in Santa Fe a couple weeks ago. It was fantastic. We had 3 acres. We have 2 dogs also. So we had 3 acres of land fenced in for the dogs to be able to roam free, and beautiful house. I mean, it was awesome. So yes,
that's great.
Short answer. We love it.
So you have 2 products. It looks like you actually have more than 2 products, but the 2 that we're going to focus on are Remote Lock and Resort Lock. And can you tell us the difference between those 2?
Yeah, absolutely. Resort Lock was the lock we came out with before Wi-Fi technologies were able to really run a door lock, and that was back in about 2009. And Resort Lock is a very funky technology. It's called an algorithm-based lock. And I have to tell you, when we first launched it, and explained it to our customers, we would start with the statement, for this lock, you don't need to connect it to the internet. Then we'd explain what it does, and they'd say, I get it. And then the very last thing they would say is, okay, so how does it connect to the internet? So my point is, it was hard to explain this technology to people because it's a hard technology to understand because the way it works from a practical user perspective is you log on to a website and you tell that website, I have a guest coming in, let's say Friday at 1 o'clock, and they're leaving Monday at 2 o'clock. And the website gives you the door code, and you give that code to your guest, and the code will only work for the duration of their stay. Mm-hmm. And it does not require any connectivity because it's all really cool algorithms and programs that are in the lock that we duplicated on the website. Mm-hmm. So that was great for many years. But what we found is that people were really needing to know real time. Did my guests get there? Did my cleaning crew arrive? I just sent an HVAC person to fix my air conditioning. Did they arrive? And so that's when we started development in 2011, 2012 on remote lock. And so this is the distinction between the two. Yes. So the remote lock is a completely controlled Wi-Fi lock. You get real-time information when people arrive. You can decide what codes and what schedules and time periods you want to have people get access. So it's you get much more control and monitoring with the remote lock. That is the difference.
Well, that's fabulous. What do you suppose is most attractive to the short-term rental owner? What are you selling the most of is what I'm wondering.
In terms of, right now we really look at problems. And mm-hmm. So when we create any service or product, we want to make sure that we are solving a problem that one of our customers has. Mm-hmm. So especially in the Airbnb space, it just, like we just said, the biggest problems that we found with Airbnb were, how do I get my guest in? And how do I make sure they don't check in early? And how do I make sure they don't overstay? And how do I have just peace of mind that they actually arrived? We knew about this problem because we started getting involved in the community. But about a year and a half ago, we were validated in our assumption because Airbnb actually approached us and said, we need you guys to get your locks integrated with our platform because mm-hmm. It's the single biggest complaint we're getting from our hosts. And they also approached a couple others, but we were the inaugural partners for this remote control door lock capability. And that's really how we got into focusing on the Airbnb community in particular, because the way it works now is if you book a property on Airbnb, instantaneously they dip into our system and we send your guest the door code or other instructions that you might want to include in an email, things like take the trash out when you leave, or there's a great restaurant near here, that kind of stuff. But the code is automatically and instantaneously presented to the guest. But of course, that code's not going to work for them until their vacation is supposed to start. So it really is kind of a set it and forget it for hosts.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. Really great feedback from this.
Oh, I bet. I love the thought of that. One less step for the homeowner to do is always something that we're looking for.
Exactly.
So if we take it a little bit farther, many of us are using multiple. I've been in this business since 2008 or 9. So I started out in the HomeAway VRBO arena and now use a number of platforms. Can you integrate with all of them?
That's a great question. The simple answer is yes. We actually have the very same integration on the VRBO platform. We actually are the first, I believe we are the first person starting this month to use their new API. So there will be some really cool capabilities that we'll be offering with them as well. But it's very, very similar. When you have one of our locks, or even some other locks, frankly, that work on our platform, because lots of other lock companies have approached us asking to use this platform. It works very simply. You have your account with our system, and then you go to an integrations tab, and you say, I want to integrate with Airbnb, I want to integrate with VRBO. Eventually, we'll do Booking.com. All these places where you may be firing off listings and want to have that integration are available there.
That is fabulous.
Yeah.
What does something like this cost?
The products themselves are not too expensive. They start in about the $240, $250 range for our locks. Like I said, there's some other locks that also work on our platform.
Mm-hmm.
And just being upfront, the service for doing this, we do charge a monthly fee, but it's so slight, and most of that is to make sure we cover our hosting costs for running the platform. It's 99 cents a month.
Wow.
So it's just negligible to get in the door and being able to start using this to help run your Airbnb.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful.
I mean, there are other services that we provide as customers want to use those, as value adds, but we really try to keep it simple and easy and cost effective to get in and start helping assist with this.
And I'm assuming that you don't have a subscription fee with the resort lock, but you do with the remote lock.
You are correct. That is exactly right, because it's not as heavy a load on the system. Mm-hmm. And we're using the internet just to generate those codes, but it's really not as burdensome for us.
Mm. Well, my final question to you is going to be about how to integrate with the Airbnb host and what LockState can do for the Airbnb host. But it seems to me that you've answered that question. What do you see in the future?
Well, it's interesting. We are obviously Airbnb is just exploding. I'd love to get good figures for how many listings they're adding a day. I mean, I think it could be as many as 1,000 a day. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, one of the programs that they're launching starting now is the Business Travel Ready program.
Yes.
I know that it's been sort of soft launched out there, but it seems they're starting to put some real weight behind pushing this. And they also approached us to participate in this because, the requirements to be a business travel ready property are you have to have, I think, a certain number of high ratings, some amenities, and among that is 24/7 access, which of course means you have to have some sort of remote lock.
Yes.
So this is really an area where I see Airbnb and LockState and Remote Lock actually taking off even further, because they are really getting some great success with business travelers now. And they're starting to promote some of your listeners and many hosts. If you are very close to being fitting the criteria to be certified as business travel ready, I believe they'll start to email you, hey, you're really close, maybe get a door lock or something like that to put yourselves over the hump, and then you'll be labeled a business travel ready property. So this is where I think a lot of activity is going to be focused in near term over the remainder of this year. So if you do see one of those emails, you might also see a LockState suggestion on there as a business travel ready approved product. And that's one area of growth that we really are excited to see where it goes, because as we all know, we love using Airbnb for our vacation. And I've actually personally also just started to use it for business travel. Happened to me in Vegas a couple months ago at a trade show, and the whole town was completely sold out. So it's the first time I've used it there, and I'm definitely going to start using it more. Went on, found a great Airbnb nearby. It was fantastic. I mean, I did. I was like, why didn't I thought of this before? I'm in this business.
Yes.
And it should have been one of my first thoughts. So those are the areas where I think we're going to see some real interesting and exciting activity.
Great. So how big is LockState?
Yeah, sure. We are right now, I think we're 23 people. We are growing very quickly. We do have some representation in the Southeast in Florida, and the rest of us are primarily based here in Denver, Colorado. So we are selling not just nationally, but internationally. We're opening up, we have a mass distributor in the UK who is fielding a lot of our sales and inquiries from Europe. And we have also a partner in Japan who has translated our system into Japanese. So now if you're an Airbnb owner in Japan, you can use our products there and in the language that you're familiar with. So we're really seeing a great amount of international growth. And so we expect to really accelerate that growth over the next year or two.
Well, congratulations. That's really wonderful.
Yes, thanks very much. We're excited about it.
So we're going to see Peter, I believe, next week at our conference. And
yes.
We're really excited about that. Is there anything else that you would like to have our guests know about you before we close?
I think that the most important thing for this community to understand is that players and vendors and partners really all do view this as a community. There's something really unique about how this business of Airbnb and hosting has come about, because it's half business and then half relationship and network. And so we really like to be a part of that. You can tell from just talking to me today that most people here at LockState with Remote Lock as well are users as well as vendors of this community. So I think that what I'd really like people to understand, and what I'd also like to signal to other vendors who are interested in getting into this space, is this is a community. It's not just a business opportunity. And that is our approach to it. And that's how we really hope others are also taking up the charge as they start to participate in this business, because there's something unique about how this has come about. There's a reason that its growth is so explosive, and we love that energy, and we are really interested in contributing to that. That's definitely what I'd like to leave with.
That's a great sentiment. I like that a lot, and Host2Host embodies that as well. Yeah. So our vendors are welcome to attend our breakout sessions, and also, we've invited them to come to our happy hour afterwards. So, in fact, we're hosting a lot of them in our homes as well. Yeah, so it's wonderful. Nolan, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it, and I just love what I'm hearing.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Fabulous. We'll be in touch. Take care.
All right, you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I really love it when I get to talk to someone so engaging as Nolan is. And I am really interested in the lock that they offer that will sync with your bookings on Airbnb and HomeAway. I spend so much time just going through those extra 2 or 3 hoops to assign codes and get them out to our guests that I'm really interested in that, in the ability to compress and do a one-step or automatic issue of codes. I think that's wonderful. So you know where to find us. You found us already. You know that we have a website at hostingyourhome.com. You know that I would love to hear from you. And if you have suggestions for podcasts, I'd like to hear that too. If you have a compelling story, I would like to talk with you. So contact me at Debbie at Hosting Your Home. Download our podcast from iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and join the Hosting Your Home Facebook group. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.